It's crazy, man, what's going on in Week 16. We saw the way the Thursday night football game between the Rams and the Seahawks ended. Then we saw the way the Saturday night game between the Bears and the Packers ended. Both games in overtime, both games with a walk-off score. The first ever two-point conversion walk-off in overtime history, with the Seahawks taking that, and then Caleb Williams going up top to call ball game on the throw to DJ Moore. And then comes the Steelers and the Lions and the way that game ended. But before that, the Pittsburgh Steelers were putting the bang thing on the Detroit Lions in the house, where the Lions play much better football this year than not. And I know Pittsburgh Steeler fans on the western part of the great state of Pennsylvania, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
There you go. Let's not get it twisted.
It's a Commonwealth.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
On the eastern part of the Commonwealth, there's been a lot of hand-wringing and craziness about the conversation in relation to the 2023 season coming back again in the form of the 2025 season for the Eagles. And I said, relax. The Raiders and the Commanders are coming up, and those are winnable games, get-right games, and the Eagles have gotten right, and they have now gone back-to-back as the NFC East champions, the first repeat champions of that division since the Eagles did it in the first 2 years of NFL Network's creation. And on the opposite end of the state, I wasn't feeling so comfortable about telling the Steelers fans to relax, because Aaron Rodgers had already said, I'm not telling them to relax. We're good.
Tranquilo.
And he's the one who came up with the RELAX business to begin with. And I'll be honest with you, with them going 6-6 and then beating the Ravens, I was wondering if this was going to turn out any different than the last handful of seasons in Pittsburgh, where they limp into the playoffs and get one and done in the playoffs. And just as for instance, 2 seasons ago, they gave a whirl to Kenny Pickett, who got hurt, and then they gave a whirl to Mitchell Trubisky. And then I was in Indianapolis calling a Saturday game between the Steelers and the Colts when Mike Tomlin handed Mason Rudolph a mop and said, clean up on aisle Trubisky here. And it was too late for that, but Rudolph started the rest of the season, got the Steelers to the playoffs, then got one and done by the Ravens. And then last year, they started with Justin Fields, handed things off to Russell Wilson, who went 6-2, and then started to fall off the radar screen. And by the time they get to the playoffs, they get one and done. Russell Wilson by, yes, the Baltimore Ravens. And, this time around, pardon me, the Bills are the ones who knocked out the Steelers the year before. But this time around, the Rodgers ticket, the Rodgers-Rudolph ticket, pardon me, who's at the top of that ticket, is better than the Wilson ticket or the Rudolph ticket or the Pickett ticket or the Trubisky ticket. Aaron Rodgers is playing some of his best football in a handful of years. Better than, obviously, his Jet year being healthy. Better than his last year as a Green Bay Packer, the only non-playoff season in the LaFleur era to date. And he is just making plays, neck up, nimble in the pocket. He's locked in. And just like some of those Packers years where you look at the roster outside of, like, say, Devontae Adams, you're like, who else is he throwing to? They're all making plays for him now. All of them. And they got Jaylen Warren coming up with 2 rushing touchdowns of 45 yards. Last Steeler to do that in the same game was John Frenchie Fuqua.
Really?
55 years ago.
Wow.
Kenneth Gainwell coming up with a Antonio Freeman, he did what type of catch right before the end of the first half.
That was
As
amazing.
Lions fans have got to be like, how many times is Rodgers going to have a prayer answered in this building before the end of a half?
It's kind of stupid.
Took a 10-3 game and made it a tie game, going right into halftime, and the momentum switched from there on out. Jonnu Smith is running with the football. MVS is catching the football. DK Metcalf is catching the football when he's not
Catching hands.
catching hands with a fan. We'll talk about that.
That's crazy.
Catch a fade real quick.
And they got a wagon in Darnell Washington. His hits that he is delivering to people, the power from that could electrify an entire United States city, it feels like. And by the way, Steelers, listen, I don't want to accuse you of not being honest, but you're listing him at 264. Like, what are we talking about?
He told Pat a couple weeks ago he's 311.
Bro.
264. He said he was 311?
Yeah.
Washington.
Yeah.
Tomlin's coaching his head off. Arthur Smith is dialing up plays. They are playing football. Hey, Steelers fans, you got to admit this. This looks better. It feels different than the previous limping into the playoffs years. They are one win away at Cleveland next week or against the Ravens in Week 18 at home away from clinching the division. Hosting a playoff game, taking on a 5 seed that's going to be stout. But I'll tell you what, man, going from Pittsburgh into Detroit, it helps to have a guy like Aaron Rodgers who's like, this is my 19th career win against this team. You know that end zone that I was thrown into? You know, I mean, I've thrown Hail Marys here before.
It's nothing.
You know what I mean? Like, it's different. It feels different.
Yeah.
And this team that couldn't win a game, figuratively, without TJ Watt, because in the 12 times prior to this last, I can't even call it an injury, what he suffered, but he's missed the last 2 games. They've only, in the 12 previous times, they did win only 1 game. That's it, 1-11. They've now won 2 in a row without him. The defense is balling out. And this offense can light you up. And Jared Goff still threw 3 touchdowns against him, but it wasn't enough. Wasn't enough. And the Steelers are getting it done.
We're not going to apologize for winning.
You can't. They're getting it done, man. They are getting it done. Coming up, they came up the defense with the first quarterback sack in the end zone for a safety. For Pittsburgh since Brett Kiesel strip sacked Tom Brady in 2011.
Wow.
So the defense is making plays. The offense with Rodgers is clicking. Here we go. Hashtag.
He's a great beer.
Okay, and so
Here we go.
there's that. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.